They found him alone at the edge of the reserve, just skin, bones, and blood-specked breath. A full-grown male lion, once feared and majestic, now too weak to lift his head. Flies circled his sunken eyes. His name was Kumba. No gunshot wounds. No snares. Just something worse, something eating him from the inside. At first glance, it looked like nature had given up on him. But one man didn't. Dr. Eli Brody, a British ex-combat medic turned wildlife vet, knelt beside the dying lion and saw what no one else could, a pulse, barely there, but fighting. In that moment, a decision was made, not just to save a lion, but to confront a quiet, crawling death that had almost won. What nearly killed Kumba, and what brought him back, will stay with you long after this story ends. Hit like, subscribe, and let's go. Long before the lion, there was the quiet rhythm of early mornings in Majijaskloof. Dr. Eli Brody rose before sunrise, always with black coffee in hand and an old field journal tucked under his arm. At Thula Thula Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, he wasn't just a veterinarian, he was the calm center in a place built on second chances. The animals knew his voice, even if he rarely used it. Orphaned antelopes, injured hyenas, even the occasional pangolin, they passed through his care like chapters in a long, silent book. Eli had come to South Africa to mend what war and grief had broken inside him. Here, among the rustling mopane trees and quiet eyes of wounded creatures, he'd found something close to peace. But peace, like the dry season, never lasts forever. Something was coming, something that would test every part of him. It started with a radio call just after dawn, crackling static, then a panicked voice from a safari ranger near the Kruger boundary. "There's a lion," he said. "But something's wrong." Eli was in the truck within minutes, the dirt road blurring under tires as dust filled the air like smoke. What he found wasn't just wrong, it was haunting. The lion lay collapsed near a dried-out watering hole, ribs cutting through his skin, foam at the edge of his mouth, eyes barely open. No signs of trauma. No blood. Just collapse. Eli knelt slowly, his instincts battling disbelief. This wasn't old age or starvation, it was systemic. Something deep, invisible, and spreading fast. Kumba, the name came later, was fighting for life, and Eli knew, whatever was eating this lion alive wasn't going to stop on its own. Eli had seen malnourished lions before, but this was different. Kumba's gums were ghost white, his breathing shallow and erratic. They sedated him carefully and brought him to the center, but every test brought more questions. His blood showed signs of severe anemia. His heart rate was unstable. Then came the trembling, short, violent spasms that racked his entire body without warning. Eli ran panels for known parasites, but the results were muddy. Too many markers. Too many conflicting symptoms. The lion wasn't just sick, he was under siege. Layers of infection, possibly neurological involvement. Eli stood in the quiet of the exam tent that night, staring at the monitors, hearing only the slow beep of a heart that might not make it till morning. This wasn't just rescue. It was a race against something he couldn't yet name. Eli hadn't given up, but the weight of uncertainty was wearing him down. Just as he was about to run another round of tests, a memory surfaced, an old journal entry he'd found in the clinic months ago. It had been a case from years earlier, a lion with a similar pattern of symptoms, saved by an experimental treatment for trypanosomiasis. The key ingredient? Suramine. It wasn't easy to get, but it was effective. Eli rushed to his office, flipping through dusty shelves, his fingers landing on the last vial. It was a long shot, but it was all they had. With a deep breath, he prepared the injection, knowing this could be the turning point. Kumba's fight wasn't over. For the first time in days, Eli felt the smallest spark of hope. The injection was ready. Eli's hand trembled as he wiped the syringe, the needle gleaming under the harsh fluorescent light. Kumba lay still on the table, his body frail and vulnerable, a shadow of the lion he once was. The risk was high. Sir Amin could either save him or send him into shock. Eli had no guarantees. He knelt beside the lion, his heart pounding. A single, deliberate push of the needle. Seconds stretched into eternity. Kumba's eyes flickered, but there was no immediate reaction. Eli backed away, his breath caught in his throat. He watched the lion, willing him to respond. The minutes passed like hours, the stillness in the room suffocating. It was too soon to know if the gamble had worked. The night stretched on, thick with silence. Eli sat beside Kumba, eyes fixed on the still figure of the lion. His pulse echoed in his ears, louder than the occasional rustling of the leaves outside the clinic. Time seemed to slow as the minutes ticked by. He hadn't slept in hours, his body heavy with exhaustion, but his mind couldn't let go. Was the Sir Amin working? The trembling had stopped, but was that a good sign or just the calm before the storm? The lion lay unmoving, and Eli knew he couldn't afford to look away, not even for a moment. His thoughts swirled, doubts, memories, and an unrelenting hope that this gamble would pay off. Outside, the African night felt unbearably far away, as if it had stopped moving too. It happened quietly, almost unnoticed. A slow, steady rise of Kumba's chest. His eyes fluttered, then locked onto Eli's. A low, strained growl rumbled in his throat, weak, but unmistakable. Eli's heart leaped. He hadn't seen that look in days. It wasn't just a flicker of life, it was a spark. Kumba shifted, stretching his legs as if testing them for the first time in weeks. The tremors were gone. The foam around his mouth had dried. Eli stood, breathless, fighting back the lump in his throat. He'd done it. Against all odds. The lion was coming back. There was no other word for it, this was survival. This was hope, and it was enough to make the whole struggle worth it. As the days passed and Kumba regained his strength, Eli found himself reflecting more on the journey than the lion's recovery. He hadn't just saved an animal, he'd been part of something larger. A quiet realization settled in: every life, no matter how small or lost, held its own fight. The lion's struggle had reminded him of his own, and how close he had come to giving up on both. But in that struggle, he found something unexpected, a sense of purpose, a reason to keep going. Eli often thought about the countless other animals like Kumba, each one facing a fight of their own. He didn't have all the answers, but he knew this: sometimes, hope is found in the smallest victories, and they change everything. Kumba's return to the wild wasn't just a victory for him, it was a reminder that hope, no matter how fragile, can still change lives. As he disappeared into the horizon, his once weary body now strong and full of purpose, Eli stood quietly, knowing he had been part of something extraordinary. Every moment, every life saved, mattered. It made him believe that perhaps we all have the strength to overcome, no matter the odds. If you've been moved by Kumba's story, remember that there are so many more animals, and people, who need our help. Thank you for watching. Like, share, and comment your thoughts below. Let's continue this journey together. Your thoughts are important, and your support means the world.